Hello? Is anybody there? Oh!
Hey!
We're in. It's Kane and Jake and Nina and Ross. I am Ginger and I'm the boss. This is Jake, the man with the headset, looking like Britney, but she's free. So
and good morning to you too.
Jake, you look so important today.
I know, right?
I know, look at the swivel.
I've got the buttons.
You look so important today. You look like a proper, like...
Tech dude.
No,
Gamer.
AKA virgin.
Fortnite, 23 hours a day.
What's this? What's that on my side? This is my Move Faster pad.
There's so many words I want to say right now. But
In English?
hey, wow.
Ooh. It's an exciting day today. This is our first podcast in like a month.
Yeah, it's so long.
You might have been listening to them every week, but we ain't been doing them. You've had a backlog of episodes,
We've
guys.
still got 2 episodes to release.
Yeah, so
For this.
for all you know, this could be released January 2023.
That took you a while, didn't it?
Yeah, I was
You
going
were trying to-
to say
What
2022.
year are we in?
I was going to say 2022, and I was like, oh, Kane's excited. Yeah, dope. We got, obviously, everyone knows the Nina Benina Brown in the building. Woo! Fans go wild. Yeah, we love you. And then, obviously, we have, which some of you may have listened to on I was going to say recent, but it wasn't that recent, was it? On a past episode, the wonderful Ross Clifton and me and Jake. We back. What's up, guys? Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It's okay. Just pull that mic
Yeah,
a
I
little
was
bit
gonna say
closer
to you as
your
well,
ear.
yeah.
Oh, there?
Yeah, I know you got a loud projecting voice,
Like-
but imagine you're just gonna lick it.
Even
All
more
right.
closer.
Okay.
Don't
You're
lick
chilling
it.
Don't
back
lick
here.
it though.
No, because normally I lick that one.
Right.
Gotcha.
Just that one.
Yeah, Jake licks that one. No, he spit on it from laughing. Yeah, so we're in. So, how's life? How's things? We've got Ross. We've got AKA Link. Have you finished tour now?
Yes, I have finished. I'm on a month's holiday, we'll call it, but training and doing different bits and and just coming back to a bit more normality instead of weekly touring.
So, for those who don't know, Ross was just doing Hairspray UK tour.
Yes, UK tour.
Yeah,
And Ireland.
and Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not allowed to put that UK in it because it's not the UK.
No.
And you were Link. Did you have fun?
It was great.
Because I feel like we spoke just before you started, or did you just started?
Just before.
Just before.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the tour?
Yeah, I loved it. Living
How-
my best life.
How was tour life?
Intense. It was hard, and especially we were the first tour coming out of the pandemic, so we was sort of setting an example of trying to work out how to actually tour whilst we're in a pandemic. So we were performing to like half capacity audiences for about the first month, and then everything opened up and it was like, whoa, this theatre is full of people right now. And that was a weird feeling, but it was great to have that opportunity to get back to work.
Performing to people in masks.
Well, rehearsing in masks, so it was singing, dancing in masks.
You had to
and
rehearse in March.
yeah, it was brutal. I've never, that was one of the hardest things, was doing like Nicest Kids in Town, which is a 5.5 minute number,
Right.
while singing the backing vocal, and then I would have to come on and sing It Takes Two, which is Link's solo, but I'd have a mask on in the rehearsal room, and so you can't breathe properly and you can't
No.
project
Yeah.
properly, and you're knackering your voice.
Yeah.
And because we all got COVID, well, not all of us, but about 12 of the cast got COVID in rehearsals, we had to go straight onto Zoom rehearsals. So we only did 1 week rehearsal altogether, and then we had to go and open in Plymouth.
Wait, so you rehearsed on Zoom?
Yeah, we did like 1.5 weeks on Zoom. So we did 1 week in person, and only about 4 days of that people lasted.
The choreographer trying to stage it by moving
Yeah,
your,
like, how does that even
moving your
work?
window.
Yeah, we all
Mine's
turned
never on my
up. We all
screen.
turned up and learnt things on the wrong leg, and we were like, "Oh no!" And
Because it wasn't mirrored.
yeah, well, yeah, but you'd still get confused. Like it was
You
because
spent the first 2 years of your training doing stuff on the wrong leg, so that's okay.
my 2 left feet. Yeah, so that was an experience in itself, and I don't know how we got through that, but we managed to still put on a really good opening night. And then I think we did 2 weeks in Plymouth, and then had a week off, and we used 2 days in that week off to go over everything just to make
What
sure
was
we
what
we'd
was
all-
the first show like? Was it an absolute shit show?
No, it wasn't. You know what? I think everybody, the audience were with us because they wanted to watch live theatre.
Yeah.
we were there because we wanted to perform. So we just thought, whatever happens when we go out there, we've waited a year and a half to do this.
Yeah, and they've waited a year and a half
Yeah.
to see. They've been watching shit from their TV screen and
Yeah.
not leaving the house. So they're just, to be honest, it could have been the worst show ever. People
Yeah.
would have liked it.
I tell you
You know
what,
what I mean?
actually is really funny is if you go on YouTube, they have that somebody has recorded an illegal version of the first show that we did.
Fair play.
And it's hilarious because I hadn't been told that the drummer's going to play 3 beats before you start your end note, and it takes 2. And so I went straight in, and then the band didn't come in, and the drummer just went boom, 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 and you just see me completely muck up. But it was opening night, and I just went 2. And it was so funny, but that's on YouTube. There you go. That's a fun one to watch.
Definitely looking for that later.
I'll find
have
it.
that playing up
Yeah.
here in the post.
Yeah. No, we're definitely going to do that.
Yeah, I'll find it and send it to you guys. Actually, it is hilarious.
And how long were you touring for? A year, right?
Well, 10 months really. Yeah, it felt like a year, but
That's a year.
yeah.
I watched
rehearsals.
you in Southampton,
Mm.
and you didn't know I was in. You thought I was in the next night.
Yes, I did. Yeah, God, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you got that wrong when I blatantly said I'll be there on this day. But it's fine. But I was very proud of you.
Appreciate that, bro.
And it was weird, like, and I've said it to you on the podcast before, and I'll say it on this one, like, you were such a shit dancer, like, in your first year. So to see you, like, roasting steps and being, like, the only one of the only ones, adding a groove to, like, the choreo and stuff.
When
like,
you get away
you
with
just
it.
see, like you're singing it and you're dancing it, but you're like, oh no, he actually can dance. Like, you're not just doing moves. Like, you're actually dancing it and singing it. I was like, yo, you've come the longest way, bro.
Appreciate that.
But
And I think that's it. It's important with musical theatre. It's good that we had such a good foundation from training at Wilkes, from learning from people like you, and even when I left and going doing John's class, who I know you talk about on here, and adding that flavour to just standard jazz choreography or musical theatre choreography. And I remember I used to try and get away with it in rehearsals, and I just wanted to see if Drew or Lindsay would say anything to me about the amount of extra flavour I put on it. Because I thought, as Link, he's the best dancer on the show. That's what
You're meant to be the guy with all the
so
flavour,
I thought
yeah.
I can afford to add a bit of groove if I want to.
Yeah.
And he didn't say too much. And then if I was going too far, they tell me when I could pull it back. But I enjoyed being able to put my own little spin on it, especially when you can't stop the beat, because me and Seaweed come out together, and he's one of the record shop kids, and they've got way more flavour and way more groove than us nicest kids. And I was like, to the resident director, I was like, but I've picked off the flavour from him, so now I can do the flavour, right?
Yeah, because he's cool and I'm copying him.
Yeah. And that's what I used to say. But no, appreciate that, mate.
No, man, good times. Very, very proud of you. And so what's next?
It's about, I think for me, it's going back to training. Who's here?
Who let the dogs out?
I think it's going back to training now, and because we had so long in a pandemic and then going for 10 months straight into a musical theatre jazz show, I think it's about, again, working on those areas that I haven't done. So doing your intensive on Sunday at the moment, getting back into training my hip hop and commercial styles, which I haven't done in must be like 3 years now. So I'm really enjoying that, and then also knuckling down on a lot more acting training and experimenting with all that side. And then probably making a dive into London in a couple of months and just being immersed there. The London dive.
The London dive. I feel like everyone just, like, we have this thing where it's like everyone goes, oh, I have to go to London. And we've said it before, like, I really don't think people do. I think it's if you can do it and make it affordable, like that you can live there without having to spend all your time earning money to be there, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
But like, I see so many people. You're right, bro. I see so many people that like move to London and then they're like, I spend all my time like working a job to afford to be here, and I'm like, then that defeated the point of you going.
Yeah.
Like, you may as well stay home and like not pay rent, and just
Travel
travel in
up,
once a week, like, and take 4 classes in the one day as opposed to the 4 classes spread out over a week that you would have taken.
Yeah.
I think you have to go with a game plan, and if you know what your game plan is, I think that's when it's a sensible time to go. Like, I haven't gone, and I graduated 5 years ago, and I haven't had.
But you have been working since.
I have, yeah.
So it's
yeah.
not like you're going and been struggling. You've been actually on a cruise or doing shows and touring.
Yeah, but I also did have opportunities where I could have probably moved for a couple of months, say. But now I'm at a point where I know where I want to be, and where I want to be in each area, and I know what I need to do what I think I need to do to get there, so I can go to London with the right mindset, knowing that I need to earn this amount this week with some savings that I've got from touring to keep a lifestyle in London where I'm still training and not just focusing on trying to pay the rent.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my question: did you actually save money touring?
Well, you say not a lot. You know what?
No, me either. Respect.
Yeah, and that's the thing with. Well, we're going on to another subject here, but UK touring, I think, is not up to standard with international touring. Or town is different because you're set in one location, so I think you can save a bit, but
no, you can't.
But it's still difficult
because you're paying to commute in and out of London every day, and you're paying London rent, and you're like, let's be fair, like you ain't going to town to do your show and go home. You're gonna go in and get a coffee on the way, or you're gonna have dinner in town, or you're gonna go for a drink after the show, and you're paying London rent. Do you know what I mean? So you might get paid a little bit more, but your outgoings are more as well. Yeah. Like, and then I guess it's the same with UK touring. Like for me, and I imagine you were the same. It's like you have all day in a town where you're not from, and so much time to kill waiting for your show. So it's like, what do you do? Like we just spent money. Yeah. We're looking for things to do. We're like, okay, we're gonna go to the gym. Cool. Then we'll go for breakfast, or we'll go for breakfast. Then we'll go to the gym. Then we'll get lunch. Then we'll get a coffee. Then we'll do. The next thing you know, you're like, oh, it's a £50 day. Like, and then you'd be like, oh, let's go for drinks after the show. There's another 30 quid, 40 quid spent, and you're like, oh, I've made fuck all.
And that's the thing as well. Like when you're in a show, like we are, is the only thing to do after a show. The only place that's open is a pub.
Yeah, Wetherspoons.
Or a nightclub.
And
you need to wind down.
And there's always a Wetherspoons opposite the stage door. There's always. Like, I don't know how they managed to place them there, but there is always a Wetherspoons near stage door. And you're like, spoons? Like, we used to finish the show, we'd do bows, and we'd literally go, spoonies! And we'd all be like, off, and it'd be like a race, first one to Wetherspoons. Yeah. Like, trying to get it just before so you can get the last food order in. So they finish at 10. Yeah. We saved none.
No. And and compared to international touring, you get a per diem every day, so you get given. I remember when I did Japan, and that was something that I raised with equity. I said that I don't understand how I did 4 weeks in Japan and I saved the same amount as what I've just done UK touring for 10 months. I said I can't get my head around it, and I said it's something that needs to change. And because they give you a digs list, and the digs list is so out of date at the moment that half of them don't do digs anymore, or they give you Airbnb to look at, and they're charging you like £350 for your own accommodation for the week, and you get given £265. I think that's standard touring allowance. And they were going to put it up, but then they brought it back down after the pandemic to £265 when they were going to put it up to £295. And that still isn't enough to get your own place and actually have for a week. No. I most of my tour, because I like trying to save my touring allowance, and I thought to myself, all I need is a bed because I'm hardly in there because I'm out doing the show or I'm traveling somewhere, and I would just be staying, say, in Shirley from Sheffield's house, who's 78, with a cat, and that would only cost me 100 quid, say. Yeah. But that is the lifestyle that you sort of live whilst you're touring. And I think people
like. You'd be like, oh, I bet it's so glamorous. I bet you get to stay in like I was trying to think of a glamorous hotel then, but like Novotel, it's not even that glamorous. No. But if you're in a hotel every night, it's quite nice. But it's like, no, bitch, we can't even afford to stay in a travel lodge. Like, it's like we're staying in some digs with a family or like with an old guy. And it's just nuts. Like, it's so dated, it's so old fashioned. Yet the companies who are putting these shows on are rinsing it and reaping all the benefits. Yeah. Like,
I'm so surprised that you have to find your own accommodation.
And a lot
when you told
tours.
me about when you were going to go on tour, you had to find your own. I was like, what? Like, surely that's something that's set up for you.
Yeah.
Because what if you can't find accommodation?
Other countries that they did it. So I'm like, because it's in the UK, then you find your own. But then when you're away in another country, it's done for you. Was that?
Yeah. So that's that's a thing that they have to look after you when you're abroad. So it's just because you get the per diem every day that pays for your food and drink, and that paid for me if I wanted to go out somewhere. And so all the wage that I was earning went straight into my bank, which actually probably is too far the other way, in a way that I should be spending a bit more whilst international. But
they should be paying for everything whilst you're on the road.
But compared to UK touring, it's so far the other way that it's impossible to save. But I did save a bit, but not a lot.
That was the pros of Dream Boys, is like we had a tour bus. Like, and living on a tour bus, people will be like, oh, that sounds fun. It is for like 2 days. but for 4 years.
Do you sleep on the tour bus as well?
Yeah, slept on the
Oh,
tour
wow.
bus. Like 10 stinky, muscly, testosteroned out men on a bus. Like, not the place to be living. We had fun. It was basically our little party bus. But like, you know what I mean?
I can
Like,
imagine that getting really draining really quickly. Like, no
Well,
sleep and...
No, like, in all due respects, like, they're a great bunch of lads. Do you know what I mean? And everyone kind of respected each other enough that if someone was trying to sleep and we being loud, if you shout, yo, shut the fuck up, like, they'd be like, sorry, bro, we'll go in the back room. Like, everyone was really, really, like, respectful in that sense.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not very often that you go to bed and if everyone else is up. Like, we would have all had, like, a couple of drinks, so even if they're noisy, you crash out. But, like, we saved money as in, like, we never had to pay for accommodation or even figure that out. It wasn't even a thought process. It was just like, what time do we get to the bus yard at the beginning of the touring week? 11 a.m. Cool. What time do I get home on Sunday night or on Saturday night? Like 2 a.m. Cool. That's all I had to think about. You know what I mean? And then food and that. But it was such a win just being able to travel. Like, we would travel through the night on the bus, which some people would hate. But it was kind of cool because then you wake up in a new place. You know what I mean? You just got to hope the theatre's open so you can go and have a shower to start your day. Like, that was a massive win of having a tour bus. Obviously, downsides to it too, that you're sleeping on like a coffin bunk. But you get used to it.
Yeah.
But like that, I remember when like people would be like, "Oh, we have to find our own digs," and I'd be like, "Oh, I could never be that organized."
But also,
No,
it's
that's
just an
it, it's
added
the organi-
stress.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you're
Yeah.
still like on the edge of trying to find somewhere, and then you're like, "But I've got a show in like 2 days." And
Yeah.
you're just like freaking out.
Well, I think Equity calculated that the average is 3 to 4 hours a week that a performer looks for accommodation on
Really?
a tour.
That's
No,
that's
you
a
should be
lot of
paid
time.
for that time.
You should be
Yeah,
paid.
exactly, and that's something that I think it just really needs to change. I think,
Yeah.
that's got to change.
I also like think from like a management standpoint, like it doesn't show that you care about your team.
Which
Like, it's
we
not-
prioritize first over
Absolutely.
everything. That's our number one. It's like I
Like-
said to you earlier, like team first, everything else second.
Yeah, 100%. And like you're creating a culture from the get go that you're out for yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's not creating a team dynamic.
No.
So there's more levels to it from like a psychological perspective than just the stress of it. It's like I don't know. It just doesn't.
Yeah, because then
That
say
doesn't sit right.
we're all in the same cast, and like none of you've got rent, none of you've got somewhere to live, and I've managed to find somewhere banging and it's cheap.
Yeah.
It already creates that.
Oh.
They fucking
Yeah.
found us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They always get the good one. Or like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's that already creates that resentment or that dynamic.
Yeah.
If I was on tour, I'd be asking you, I'd be like, Nina.
Yeah. Genuinely,
You're organised.
I would be the guy where I'd be like, I'd just find who I'm closest with and be like, let's buddy up.
Yeah.
Let's
But
just-
then that creates a divide already. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, but that's inevitable.
I'm not saying
like,
you
we
did
all lived on a
wrong.
tour bus, bro, and we all had to
Yeah.
divide. Like that happens. Like you find your people that you, even though you're all a team, you still have your people that you resonate with more. But this is a bigger divide because then it'd be like, well, we've got somewhere to live. You guys figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I hate the faff of it. So normally when I start a tour, I get my credit card out and put the deposit down on Theatre Digs Booker for about like 3 months worth at least of accommodation, and then so that's like what £5 each on deposit, really for accommodation. And I book out most of my 3 months, so I'd be staying by myself for at least the first 3 months.
Yeah.
And everybody used to go to me, Ross, where are you staying this week? Because they'd be so intrigued to know, because I would have, as I said, Shirley from Sheffield. and they'd all be staying in an
Shout out
Airbnb
to
together. Was it Shirley? I think. Do you know who actually I think gave me that name? I think Leanne Pinder. I remember her messaging me, and she said Shirley from Sheffield. I think to me once. She goes, staying in Shirley from Sheffield's house on a UK tour, and I think that's where I picked that up.
So glamorous. Like, but then okay, so what if like there's a celeb on the tour?
Yeah.
So you know, like Jay Quickendon does a UK tour. Like,
Yeah.
But I guess he's probably being paid 10 times more than you are. But he ain't staying with Shirley. You know what I mean? Like Gemma Collins, if she's on it, I don't even know. She was doing one, isn't she? She's doing some sort of show.
Yeah,
Chicago.
Yeah. That's not tour, though, right? It's in town.
It's tour.
Oh,
Yeah.
we all know she ain't staying with Shirley.
No.
Like, that's what annoys me. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
bitch, like he's grafted for the past 10 years for this job. She's just come off a fucking TV show. Granted, she's going to sell more tickets, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think that some of this. I just do know that some of the celebs in these shows, they don't necessarily stay in the bougiest places you would have expected. They're
well,
still,
Jake slept on the tour bus with us when he did Dream
yeah,
Boys. But he's special. He's one of a kind. Like
it's.
not everyone's like him that I've met that are like
Is he on
celebs.
Footloose at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were meant to go watch him the other week, and then the morning of, I got a text saying Cast is sick. And I messaged him saying, "Who's got COVID?" He's like, "I'm fine."
No, I've heard that show's really good because it's an actor muso version.
I don't have a clue what that means.
Actor musicians, so they play instruments and act and sing more. So like where you'd expect a dance break, I reckon they're doing an electric guitar solo with probably some dancing. But they're all musicians. My friend Ben's in it. He's incredible. He's one of the best singers I've ever heard in my life. Shout out Ben Jones.
Is there much of a wage gap between different roles in a touring piece?
With the celebs, yeah.
Right.
I don't think I can divulge some of the wages of. I won't name them, but I remember when I did Panto. Isn't ideal.
Yeah.
But I covered a lead, and I was one of the dancers, and I think for a show he was on £500 a show, and I was on 760 a week, and we did 2 shows a day, so he'd be on £1,000 a day, and I'd be like,
yeah. So you're
and he was hardly on stage. So, but compared to some of the other performers in like recent tours, the names, I don't think there is actually as big a divide as what there used to be.
Right.
I think it's closed down.
What
now.
about like in town? Like back in the day in town, if you were like Alphaba, like you are making bank.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like 15 years ago. Like you are making bank. Like is that still the same if you're a lead?
I'm not. Well, I'm not sure for a role like Alphaba, but I would say the wage has gone down just because the demand of performers. There's so many performers out there that would take the role for a smaller wage.
For free.
Like for free. And
Idiots.
Yeah, that I think that they have brought it down quite a lot. And I've spoke to a couple of people that I know in soaps, and they said that wage has actually come down a bit compared to what it used to be. So I think there has been a bit of that, just because everybody wants to be in show, because it's a great industry to be in. Yeah, I think it has. I think there is a big difference between ensemble and, especially ensemble and leads.
Yeah. Okay, so this comes on to my topic of the day.
Go on.
So, I want to have a conversation of who, between us all, we figure out who is more superior.
Jake or Kane?
You. That's on camera too, you.
Well, take that
Clip,
to the grave.
reeled, saved forever, post.
I just got 6 days of free work, guys. Who is more superior? Controversial. People are going to hate it. It's going to annoy people, but I don't give a fuck. Who is more superior? A musical theatre performer, or as we know, even though it's not a style, a commercial performer?
More superior?
Yeah. Who do we think is more superior?
What do you mean by...
Well, let's just go. Let's dive into
There's
it.
loads of different factors though.
Yeah,
Because you could
so
say
what are
like,
they?
okay, like
Kane's so hyped.
I love
Kane's
it.
like, let's go.
I love it.
like not
Drama.
like stability. Is that what I'm trying to get with?
Yeah.
So like you're more stable in a musical theatre.
Only if you're on a job.
If you're on, sorry, there
We're
we
talking
go.
about
If you're-
income.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
So because you're on, if you book a tour,
Okay.
you're there for longer.
Okay, so each. Okay, so let's
Okay,
let's
let's
put
go.
some
Let's find the
structure to this.
categories.
Sorry.
Each thing we bring up, let's weigh out the pros and cons of both sides.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing, income, which everyone goes, I don't do it for money. Yes, we do. Like, might not be the first thing we do it for, but we certainly don't do it for nothing. Although sometimes companies pay you like it's for nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Pay
Okay,
with exposure.
income. Yeah. Experience. Income. Yeah, so I think you're 100% correct. If you're on a job in musical, say you get 10 months of guaranteed income.
But then also, if you did a commercial, you're getting bank.
Yeah, but also if I worked for an artist for 10 months, I get in 2 shows what Ross gets in a week.
I was about to say, how much like more do you get for
So say like
an artist show versus
like
like,
an
a
well, so on a touring wage, you're getting like essentially, if it's paid correctly, like you should be rocking like a minimum of $1,000 a week.
how many shows?
Normally like 4.
Okay, and you do 2 shows
To
a day.
8. Well, no, 2 shows on a Thursday and 2 shows on a Saturday.
Like I think 4. Like I kind of like an artist ain't gonna do more than 4 shows a week. They'll be
Really?
battered. Like Little Mix ain't doing more than 4 shows a week, surely. Maybe 5 at the most. But they're gonna need a day off or 2 days off
Yeah.
in between. And if you think they've got to take an entire set down, move it, just like you would in a musical. But like it's a bigger thing to set up and move. But you're getting like minimum $1,000 a week.
Right.
And you're only doing 1 show a day.
That's a lot more.
What
So-
time would you have to be in at work? Would you have to be in
On a
like
tour.
Yeah.
Not as early as yours.
No.
No.
Do you not have to do spacing or anything?
Well, you'd have to do like reblock if someone was injured,
Yeah.
but I doubt like
Because we have a set time that we have to be in.
yeah, because
Just if anything.
and yeah, if anything goes wrong, you have
Yeah.
to do reblocks and shit like that. And I guess you do want to tour with an artist. I just think it depends who you're working for and like what it is. Like when I was in the States and I toured with Jackson, like our call time was half hour before the show, just like
Oh really?
anything else.
Wow.
Like there was 2 dancers, like we didn't need to reblock. Like there was 2 dancers, we'd just be out like doing fun shit all day.
Yeah.
Only
Like
2 dancers.
yeah.
So warm up, would you have to do that yourselves?
Yeah, bro.
Outside of. Oh.
And again, I guess it depends what like choreographer or artist you're working for. Like one choreographer or dance captain might want to do a company warm up. But I never done no company warm up.
No.
Even when they're meant to do it, I wasn't doing no company warm up. So yeah, I don't know. I guess like
In musicals, you got to be in at 6. Do your company warm up.
for a 7:30 show.
Yeah. But I know this is the thing. I get told that's like I've done a couple of jobs now, and it was every time 6 o'clock, and people tell me that's really early to be in.
I
I'm
was
like,
always-
it doesn't seem early
Well, obviously musical wise,
I don't feel that's.
I think that's
to
it.
warm up and respace if somebody's off. Or
But surely you get told in the day like someone's off, come in.
I know,
Like,
but
if you don't
sometimes
do
they
it
pull
every
out
day.
like half an hour before the 40 minutes before the show.
Do you know what they're called? Arseholes.
They do that because like they used
Right.
to warm up to experiment, like see what their body's feeling like, and then they go, "I'm broken," and then leave. But they are supposed their cut off call normally for theatre. I think if you just have an evening show is like 5.
Yeah.
You
So
gotta
yeah,
let
you
them
got to
know
give
by
people a
5.
heads up for
Mm.
sure.
But sometimes people don't.
Well, I guess if you injure yourself during warm up or something,
Yeah.
that's different. Yeah. So financially, I think the likeliness of you, if you're a musical theatre, landing a 10-month contract or a longer contract is a lot higher than commercial because there's so many more like musicals or shows or tours than there is touring artists. But I think if you take a full-time working commercial dancer or a full-time working musical theatre dancer, I believe that in air quote commercial dancer would earn a higher wage.
I feel like there's going to be a
I don't
a
know.
counter here.
I'm not sure. Just
Yeah, if we both work the same amount of days.
so what about?
So
I just know so many musical theatre performers that are doing the films as well, like the commercial dancers.
Yeah, but
are
that's
doing,
classed as a commercial.
So does that
Like, so
move?
we're
Even
just-
though
yeah.
they're musical theatre dancers, but they say they're doing the Cats film.
yeah,
Would you not class that as a musical theatre performer dancing the commercial? I know it's a film,
film and TV crosses
Yeah.
into commercial, no?
but I don't.
Because we can't take it off style of movement. 'Cause
Okay.
if we're taking it off style of movement, then Thriller isn't a musical theatre
Right.
job. Neither's Six.
Mm.
Neither's Hamilton. Neither's In the Heights. Because
Yeah.
they're all hip-hop steps and choreographers.
I think also, but I think also
Just
in
saying.
musical theatre, if you're an ensemble member, say that those are the dancers in theatre. They get a cover fee if they go on as the lead.
Yeah.
And say if you're working for a company like Disney,
Mm.
you're earning huge amounts of money.
Yeah, yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
And like I know some of the covers can earn up over $1,500.
For one show.
No, for a week.
Oh, yeah. That's dope. But if I'm dancing for Justin Timberlake, I'm
Mm.
making $2,500 a week.
Really, $2,500.
Wow.
Dollars?
But how many
Dollars, yeah.
people are
Yeah.
dancing for JT versus?
Well, no,
how
but that's
many-
what I'm
This is
saying.
the
But how
thing,
many
like-
covers are
Do you know
there
what
for
I mean?
Disney?
Mm.
There's only like 2 Disney shows.
Okay,
bro.
so if let's take like the
Ooh.
average dancer.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the
It's
same
like
thing.
the level of artist, and then there's like talking about level of show.
Shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's take the average of every. So the average working dancer, the average wage,
Okay.
etc.
We're going off equity minimum here because we're not going to do
Yeah,
that
but
because
also-
musical theatre has lost.
yeah, yeah, but also let's not go off equity minimum because it's the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because the fact that it says
Describe what's
equity,
equity minimum.
so it's like the minimum amount you can earn per day or per job or per rehearsal or per hour. There's like a minimum that is put to it.
So it's like a minimum wage, but for dancers.
Yes, and then what
Right.
companies do is they go, we're applying with equity minimum, and it's like okay.
So that's like they're paying you minimum wage, basically.
Yeah, and they make it out as if they're doing like a good thing. They're like, no, cunts. Like, they're making it out like we're doing a good thing. Like, oh, we're paying
Right.
you equity minimum.
It's
Please
It's a
understand.
word dress up,
Please
basically.
understand what you just said after equity.
I know, yeah.
You just said minimum. So when I come, am I going to give you my dancers minimum,
Yeah.
or do you want me to give you the most? Because the way you're paying me is you're paying for the lowest version of me, so therefore you're getting a solid 45%. Like,
and then there's fringe agreement as well, which is even less.
Fringe agreement.
yeah, so if you've got a fringe, you get paid more.
If you got Bieber back in 2007,
You're making bank.
making peas. No, like, but I think fringe agreement is all right in a way because it's more for new work, like new shows, like the Edinburgh Fringe, where they're experimental shows, or they're shows for people, like, it's great for graduates to do them to gain some experience, but they do pay a lot less.
Right.
Like, you're on $3.50 for the week. Like I think
But
the Hope Mill
what's that broken down? It's like an hourly.
an hourly. God,
Yeah.
how much is that? And wait,
You're right, okay.
Yeah, I just did a fringe job and died of starvation.
I know fringe, but yeah, it's.
I can get in a G-string and podium dance at a nightclub for £150 a night.
Where?
Tell me your secrets.
I work.
This shit ain't paying.
I work at Tape in London. Come check it out.
Yeah, so like, how many hours are you working on this fringe agreement for £350 a week? And like, how common is this?
I don't know. Well, I haven't done a fringe show, to be fair, but
Because you're not an idiot.
but some of these shows they'll do, and that's the other thing in theatre that it does confuse me sometimes, is that you get paid less for rehearsals.
No, that's not just theatre. That's
Oh, is
everything. And I'm with you.
And I just like,
Why
you're
am I
doing
getting
more
paid?
hours.
Why am I getting paid less for 8 hours work than I am for 2 hours? But I get it, because essentially the spectacle is what you're getting paid for, right? It's the thing that people watch. But I'm with you, because it doesn't make any damn sense.
And also the producers probably don't have enough money come back yet.
And also rehearsals are boring and stressful, and the show is fun.
Yeah.
But you've done all the hard work in the rehearsal. Well,
Yeah, I say the show is fun.
Yeah.
It depends what show.
Yeah.
Like, I've done some not fun ones too, which I should have got paid more for. But
Yeah.
so yeah, financially
Yeah.
we agree. Commercial wins, right?
No.
You just told me that people work for $350.
No, but this
a
is
week.
but there's different levels to. But I know commercial jobs. I remember being offered a job last year. And it was two.
You just held back on what job that was, didn't you?
I can't say
I saw that. You were
can't
like,
say the job.
can't say that.
But it was a video game, and it was 250. I think for the day, a full day, and I was like, I can't do that.
Okay, I'm with you,
Yeah.
but that's also still £100 less than you were getting from a week for being at Fringe.
Yeah, so why can't you do $250 for a day? I'd work.
Well,
I'd
do you
work
know why
$250 for a day.
I actually chose not to? Because it was when Dancers Network were posting all the time about what the minimum were. and that
Dancers
was
Network
$4.50.
rates are higher now than they were. So $250 when I was working was like the show rate. That's what you get. $250, $150 rehearsal, $250 show. Whereas Dancers Network, we love you. You are the best. I wish you come around earlier. Thank you, Lily, Erin, Richie, Claude Demar, and everyone else involved. Public shout out. I love you. You're doing a miracle. They changed the equity minimum to a higher rate.
I think
So
it's
it wouldn't be
460.
$250 now, it's like 4 something.
$460.
Yeah, and I
So
messaged.
it's different depending what kind of job it is. So an
Right,
artist
right.
fee would be different to a commercial fee, or
So what kind of? I know you can't say like what brand it was, but what sort of commercial?
It was a
job was
video
it?
game back in dancing. The artist on the video game, and they wanted 2 dancers to do it, and I thought about it because I'd actually worked with them before, and then they gave me that rate, and just because Dancers Network had released that, and I thought, no, look, I'm not going to do that because I think we need to stand together in a way, and I thought, so
Some
I
other prep
basically
themselves,
met,
didn't they?
and basically I knew that
I agree with the statement.
I said,
I
Yeah.
applaud you, my
That's
friend.
brave.
and I thought,
Take notes, people. This is from Link
I didn't even
himself.
post this on Twitter, guys. I didn't even
Yeah.
go for the attention. Nobody knows about it. This is the first time I'm ever telling anybody.
So ins and outs exclusive.
Whoa, Ross Clifton turns down job,
Real.
not pennies. Yeah, and I sent them a nice email back, and I said, look, I've read what my equity are saying with jobs like this. So if you pay me that, I can do work for you for 4 hours. I said, but I can't do 12 hours.
Nice.
And I said I could learn it in 4 hours. Like you're paying, as Dancers Network, they say it really well on their Instagram page, that we've trained 3 years and most of our lives to pick up choreography in 4 hours. I can learn a 3.5 minute number in 4 hours. So just pay me for that and then go away, and then I'll come and do the filming day for you. But they couldn't do that. And I remember the first time I did the job, I was like, I'm faffing around all day. It was like I've wasted so much time. I thought.
Yeah. But the hours thing isn't for you; it's for them. It's for the production side. Because they're like a music video, like you dance for probably an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You're there for 12 hours. It's because they've got to figure out all the camera and the lighting and all that shit. But good for you for turning it down.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Did you regret turning it down?
No, I probably would have, when the tax comes into it, travel, all that. I probably wouldn't have. I would have made like 60 quid
exposure?
off it. No, yeah, and then it comes a point with that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay. No, go on.
Excuse my ignorance. Like $250 to me sounds like a decent day's wage.
Yeah, but it is a decent day's wage, but not to promote a computer game.
I think for 12
hours. Is it because
hours,
of it's not the actual like the work involved for you, it's the caliber of the product that they're
and the
offering.
exposure they're getting from you.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
So it's scaled on the scale of the company.
Yeah,
not
if
the
a
scale of
company's
your
making
work.
$1 million and I'm getting 250.
Okay.
Like
I'm with you. Okay.
and
like,
also,
that makes sense.
whereas it would be achievable if I'm an independent artist and I can only afford 250 for my dancer, and they said yes, and I'm making fuck all, then you go, oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, like, let's say
But this is back in the day. 250 now, if you're a professional dancer, for your show fee isn't enough.
for your show. So
For a show fee or a recording fee, 250 isn't enough.
so how much would you be expecting?
Whatever the minimum of Dancers Network require now. I
Which
don't
was
know.
like
450,
450.
450, 460, I think.
Which to me again makes sense. Like if you're training for as long as you have, and you know, like it makes sense to get paid.
Yeah, you're
that
paying
sort of
for that
wage.
person to be available as well. Like if you're booking this date in advance, I have to make sure that I don't audition for something else. I'm not doing another tour or a job. You're paying for that day to be free, and I think that comes in a way at a premium, because if I got
potential lost work as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm still going with commercial wins on this. But only if you're like working, because an
Okay, can I have one more question?
An unemployed MT dancer is the same as an unemployed commercial dancer.
I think as well, being MT performer, this is going to probably spark up another debate. But I think your skills in a way give you more access to muggle jobs in a way. So like a singing barman in London is very popular at the moment. That's probably what I might go into for a bit when I move to town. That you can do that skill. Also, it allows you, if you've got the teaching qualifications there or a DBS, you can go teach singing. You can go teach.
Teaching is.
I'm just saying when you're out of
work. On teaching, I roast everyone. So between me and Josh Warmby, like we're killing the game on the teaching thing, and we ain't MT. So like we can't include that.
Okay, so last question on finance then. So, how many jobs in the UK are available for MT dancers versus commercial dancers, and then average your wage into that? Obviously, we won't actually run the numbers, but do you see the questions? Like,
sure you don't want to.
Businessman.
I know you like numbers.
16.48%.
Had this conversation.
But do you see the question I'm trying to ask? Like, how much work is available for MT dancers versus how much work versus commercial, and then how much is available for wage and how much is available for wage on commercial side?
You can. I'll go. I don't care.
You go.
You got any opinion? No. I think this is going to travel over into another conversation.
Okay.
But I think the difference is, like, if you put yourself as here you go, haters, put yourself as an MT bracket. You're like, I'm an MT dancer. Like, what does that mean, right? So, what's your skill set? So, like, if you remove singing and acting out of the equation as just a dancer, what do you offer that a commercial dancer doesn't?
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay, so we're talking like jobs.
So on a job wise, if you want me to do the same musical he's in, but not sing. I can do it. But I'm not using you. But I mean, an MT person can't just jump in and do Chris Brown's show.
Right, but a commercial dancer could jump in.
Because the level
this
of
is
training,
going to start a whole other debate. So we'll come on to this.
That's why I'm saying
because I know we've discussed this off air, so I know where you're going with this. So we'll come to that. I'm like questionnaire today. You go. Yeah. But yeah, how many jobs do, like, on a percentage basis or whatever, is available for MT dancers, like jobs that you were just on, versus like strictly commercial dancers?
I think if you include cruise ships as well, then like MT stuff.
This is what I'm finding hard. I'm in a way difficult to differentiate between commercial dancers and MT performers, just because I know so many that do both.
Yeah,
and that's what and there are a lot of the working MT performers that also they are commercial dancers as well. And But yeah, and you're including ships and all that as well. And I always think there is a loads of work out there, like for performers. I think there is a lot, but it depends on what area you want to go into. And I don't think one's better than the other. But I think go away to Greece and work in a resort for 3.5 months. That's great, and you're earning a decent wage at a 5-star hotel, and you're performing every day, and you're in a luxury
average wage
place. But you're still, but you probably
everything else. You're right.
You're probably saving a lot more.
But
money
you're not paying for accommodation as well, because they'll put you
true.
on the hotel campus. But you
might probably also got duties to do, like show people to their rooms or like
you might have that. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing as someone who's very on the outside of this is there is more work if you are more MT based.
Yeah, if you can sing and act,
If you can sing
it
and
opens up more doors, which MT would kind of carry across to.
Okay.
Well, not kind of, it does carry across to.
But I know commercial.
I know commercial.
Connery. I know commercial dancers though that can sing, and they're getting. I know a couple of friends got offered like some BV vocalists and dancers, which I don't think MT. Well, I think MT performers could do that, but I'm just saying they had access there because they'd worked as a commercial dancer to then go into backing vocal, doing backing vocals for these artists. So I think there is equal. It's a real hard one to weigh up. The MT performers aren't commercial dancers, because I just like Hairspray. The first tour of that, majority of the cast were commercial dancers.
Yep. Go and look at every West End or commercial film that you watch.
Yeah.
Or musical
Yeah,
film.
a lot of them.
I feel like I know where Kane is with
They're
this
all
argument.
commercial dancers.
Okay, so let's
But isn't
show
that because choreographers are commercial choreographers? A lot of
Yeah,
them.
why? Because they're better than the musical theatre ones.
right. Okay, before we come into this, so money, where are we going? More money as an MT or commercial dancer?
MT.
MT, Nina?
Oh.
I think I'm not Nina.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
This is overall.
If you're constantly working, I'd say commercial.
But we have to look at it as an average. You can't look at the highs.
So
and
if
the
you're
highs
just
versus
like a
lows and
5,
lows.
if
It's
you're a
like-
5 out of 10 across the board, probably
yeah.
MT, because it's easier.
You hit a B flat on a Saturday morning.
You learn a number in 4 minutes. Anyway.
I think because
stuff
also
that at the moment.
it's hard because there's so many different sectors to the industry. Like I'd say, like if you're gonna do like an advert, that's commercial. So you can like do like a few days work
And make a huge salary.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is.
If you've
Yeah,
got
they're
that as
very
So you
well.
can
good.
still be an MT and do that.
I know,
And
that's
you
the
can
thing,
perform
I
and do
know-
that.
They all cross
But it's
over.
classed as a commercial job, no? You have a commercial agent for that. not a
I was
musical theatre
talking.
agent.
I was talking to my mate the other night, and his mate booked a Durex advert. And but he's an MT performer, but he had the facial expressions. He got paid. I'm not
Like
actually. Yeah, legit. Not the one. Have you seen the one with the Skittles going everywhere?
No.
They did. It's a Skittles advert, and it's a guy in Holland. We'll tag this in the comments below. The video. But oh my god, the Skittles go everywhere. But yeah, he got paid like 20 grand, and then the next year, Russia decided to reinstall the advert.
Boo.
I know, boo. But he got 3 grand put in his bank account.
Yay!
Again. So he's basically supporting Russia at the moment. No, I'm joking. Yeah, it's like, but he's an MT performer. There is a huge crossover at the moment, but
More than ever. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what made me want to have this discussion.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people try and make it like, oh, I don't want to, like, because I teach a lot of dancers, right? And they'd be like, oh, I don't want to do commercial, I want to do MT. And this is my whole thing is like, but why? Like, why are you saying I want to be this and not that?
Yeah.
Because the crossover is now more than ever.
yeah.
I think a lot of students worry that they need to put themselves
In a
bracket. They're like, oh, but I want to do both, but I don't feel like I can do both. But
You
it's
can
like,
if you're good enough.
yeah.
I think again it's important to have a focus. Remember you have your goal, and then see what builds around that. Because I think knowing from my personal experience, I think it is very difficult to keep up the standard of both. That's why I'm training with you on a Sunday at the moment, because I haven't done it in ages, and so to get myself back up to the level that I was 2-3 years ago is a push at the moment. Like I'm tricking again. I'm doing all this because you just lose that if you haven't done tricking in 4 years, but that was because I was focusing on my singing, and my singing voice has never been as good as it is now, and my acting as well.
Okay.
So I think it is hard to keep the standards of everything up, but I think if you have a focus, it's good.
Okay, so let's now look at it as, so financially, I feel like we're at a split. I think the answer is it depends, isn't it? And the answer is
Yeah.
always going to be it depends for everything. So I don't think there's a right or wrong. But hey, I'm still going. I vote my way, you vote your way, but I'm biased. And then, so let's say, okay, like ability. So like who's like at a higher level of dance? Because this is where
That's such a generalized comment though, right? Dance. Like.
No, let's dissect it. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry.
So like if you're let's say I'm a musically theatre trained dancer, which I'm not, but let's say I am. Like what skills do you have that someone who's not a musically theatre trained dancer have? Like besides maybe like you learn to do tap and you've done ballet and jazz.
Can I ask a question?
Go on.
Don't wait for your hand
Yeah.
up as well.
Question.
What do we call commercial? That's what you're going to say, right?
No. It's
Okay.
just this is a bit different. But like when you do a musical theatre show, what do you think about having a dance call first?
I think
Depends on the show.
Because like say if you're like an amazing singer, but then your dance isn't great, then you get cut from the dance call.
Yep.
But then what if you're a really good dancer, but then you're not that great at singing, you get through the dance call?
I think like Ross says, depends on the show.
The
right?
show will
Yeah.
put the
If it's-
standard what they want
If
first.
it's Thriller, there's no point in them hearing you sing first.
And that casting director's also seen your, well, hopefully would have, but there's so many people, your vocal reel, so they would have an idea of what your ability is like and whether that would suit the show.
But again, let's not take anything off vocal reels or show reels, right? Because that's not live.
No.
That's hours and hours of editing and effort and practice put into it. So like as good as it's a good indicator, I don't think we should ever, just like we should never take someone's headshot as that's what they look like.
That's what a lot of it is at the moment. Isn't it?
Like, because how many headshots do you see and you've seen the person and you'd be like, bitch, you wish. Like, it's the same with singing reels and it's the same with dance reels. You can go and find dance reels where you go, wow, they look incredible. But yeah, because
They did
they've
that, like,
shown you the
10,000
bits they want
times.
you to see,
Yeah.
not the bits that you need to see.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but anywho.
Sorry, back to your
So
point.
no, I think that's a good point, but I think it would depend on the show, right?
Yeah, it just depends on what they're looking for, and they'll know if you're auditioning for Newsies, the dance round is gonna be
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. Whereas if Mamma Mia, dance ain't really that.
Well, I think they do dance round first.
I know, but for
'Cause
the
I think they
boys'
want to know
call,
if you do the box jumps.
yeah.
That's what I know that I think they do. Like
But it's not that. It's not a super dancey
no,
show,
no,
is it?
no.
I remember going to watch Matt Pigeon in it and thinking, I taught this kid for 3 years to dance. Am I actually going to get to see him dance today? And I think I saw like one number and I was like, oh, he danced, yay. Like,
What's the number they will come on in?
this when they come on with like this in the
flip-flops.
swims, yeah,
Yeah.
flippers. I always use that as my example. Like, do you want to be the person that can grapevine in Mamma Mia in the flip-flops with a groove or without?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to be the shit grapevine in flip-flops or
Yeah.
the good one?
Yeah.
The good one. If you ain't grooving, you ain't moving, baby.
Merch.
Merch.
Right.
Message Jake to buy it.
He's like, great.
Why me?
Do I not have enough jobs?
You're superior. Yeah, so ability. Who do we think
Okay,
is...
question. So how much technical dance, quote, is there in like most MT performances?
Okay, so what are we calling technical? 'Cause
Like
if we
turns,
really go...
leaps, blah, 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 blah.
I know, but is because we call that technical as in because that's what like establishments as founded as like colleges or TV shows. That's what we've classed as technical. But that wasn't first.
Okay.
Like dance was first. Like social dancing was first. So therefore, that would be technical dancing because there's a technique to that.
Well, that's
But you know what I'm
interesting.
saying?
Jazz tech.
Like, so there's different ways of going down that route. But as muggles or a society, we know technical.
I was
is-
just gonna say, let's get my bong out because we're about to go into deep convo.
You got a bong.
Where's that bag?
We're about to go back to the caveman eras
Oh,
now.
I thought you mentioned about to get baked. I was like, dude, it's a bit early for that. Like, but yeah, so as society, what we call
Okay.
technical, you mean like ballet,
Ballet.
contemporary
Yeah,
dance,
yeah, yeah.
right? So how much of that goes into a musical? I've
There's
not
a
done one.
well,
Come on, Ross.
I've not done one.
there is a lot. A majority of musical theatre shows, because we're going to go back to what like the original legit shows like Anything Goes, and so you've got original like classical styles of tap in those shows. And then you've got Matthew Bourne, so you've got contemporary ballet shows, and then you've got shows like Newsies, which is ballet, jazz, really technically hard.
And Newsies is one of them.
There are a lot of shows.
Extreme.
Yeah.
Hard.
It's like they are. If you watch the Broadway version, it's coming to town this year and it's a different choreographer. It's Matt Cole choreographing it, I believe. Yeah, and so it's going to be different. But the original Broadway version, they are some of the best ballet dancers in America in this show, and they can all sing. It's like, wow, how are you guys doing that? And they're like spinning on newspapers and back tucking off. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, there are so many shows that you need an amazing technical base for. Like, I'm not the best technical dancer. I know all the basics for all of it. And Hairspray was like a full-on jazz musical theatre style show with a contemporary twist because Drew McConey choreographed it. So that had elements of that, but I wouldn't say it was the front of the show that you because we were in smart shoes. If we pointed our feet, you still only go to about there.
A good day for my feet.
I think though the majority of shows you have to be very, very technically good.
Right. Okay. Which kind of does that counter like if you were to do like a
I could do Hairspray.
you could do Hairspray.
And probably learn it in a day. Because my job is to pick up choreography as fast as I possibly
You can learn
can.
Hairspray in a day.
Not singing, but dance-wise.
Yeah, and that's the thing because
I can't sing. I'm not saying that, but I
Yeah.
said danceability. I could learn Hairspray in a day. Yeah.
Like, does your commercial ability cross over with like more technique stuff? Like, could you do the more technical stuff?
I mean, I have a basic understanding it. I'm not going to give you fouettes, but I can give you a solid double. Which, did you do more than a double?
No, sometimes I whack out a triple if I was feeling.
If you're feeling it, right?
When
But
you're on the leg.
that was optional, not required,
Yeah.
right?
Well, in the finale, don't tell Drew, but I used to try and whack out a triple at the end of the
And
The
keep it in
layout dance
keep
break.
it in the right counts.
Yeah.
Well done, Ross. Really proud of you.
3 years.
Yeah. No, I think I could.
Okay.
Because my job as a commercial dancer is to adapt. I think that's for me, that's the biggest difference between like a commercial dancer and say a musical theatre performer is we're constantly put in a position where we have to adapt. So like I will do a show in a week and I've learned 6 different styles of movement.
Right.
Whereas in musical theatre, they spend 6 weeks learning
One style of movement.
one show. And in a show as a commercial dancer, I will learn, like, say dance. When we did that, like, we were doing 8 to 10 numbers a week. A week.
Right.
For
Just
3
all
months.
different styles and
That's more than an MT performer probably does in their career.
Yeah, I remember
Like-
I was doing a tour and it was I won't say which one, but I remember talking to some people and they were saying like slagging off commercial dancers, saying that they're all divas and and I just thought to myself, you guys have no idea how many numbers these guys can learn in a day, how hard they work to get to that point where they can learn these numbers in one day.
Like,
and
as
then put a
I
show
said
on.
before, like, sorry, John, I know you hate me talking about you publicly, but John learned Nicole's show in one day.
we were talking about this.
Like, one
Oh,
day.
good
Like, from me. Not even with everyone. From me, and then did it on stage.
Wow,
Like, dude.
that's
Like,
incredible.
he learned the partner work with no partner. Like,
That's insane.
like it's not like partner work, like technical, but it's still like having to interact with a human.
Yeah.
And then, like, we did one tech run and then a show. Like,
Yeah.
guys are gangster. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, and if it does happen in MT, like
We-
excuse my ignorance, I apologize. But it doesn't, does it? Because you have a swing. Or you
No, well, I'll tell you. Well, here we go. So with COVID, because it was such a people would suddenly 10 of the cast would have it, and you'd run out of covers. We had one girl learn Haley. Shout out,
Shout out,
she
Hayley.
learned the show in 3 hours.
Is
Wow.
it?
She learned a complete track that she didn't know, which is one of the lead roles, Penny. So if you know the
But
show.
was she already in the show?
Yes, but
So
this is
that's
but this is where I go on
different.
to the next one. Gavin Eden, who did the show 5 years ago, came back, learnt the show in 5 hours, and went on for a part that he hadn't done in 5 years.
Is that including singing, like everything?
That's singing,
Or
I mean,
just
that
some
is
choreography?
phenomenal.
Singing,
Yeah,
acting,
that's-
and,
shout out
and
to them.
he was a multi-rolling. We have an older guy that normally multi-rolls.
I got multi roles.
Yeah, like you got multi-Welsh cakes. You were saying
Yeah,
earlier, and yeah, he came back in a day, and he used to be dance captain on the show back when it originally went out, and he just learnt. And I was like, I just remember seeing him side of stage, just going over everything, and it was amazing. He just went out there and nailed it.
I mean,
So you do get
gangster,
yeah,
but also he's done the show before, right?
but 5 years ago,
So he knows the music, he knows the story.
Come on, you
No,
can't
no,
just
no,
go,
hey,
bro, like-
dope. I'm not taking any credit away, just a little bit. But
But you could say that like John probably knew Nicole's music, right?
no. Except for like, don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? But like,
Okay. But like you're normally going to know the artist that you're walking into, right?
Yeah, sometimes. Like yeah, sometimes you do, but but that's what I'm saying. It's like it's exceptionally that, but like a girl learns a new track in a show that she's already in, so she knows the show, she knows the song, she knows the musicality. The choreo is probably not that much different if you're already in that.
It's more the scenes, and that was the biggest thing. It was
And
picking
that's
up the
hard.
scenes,
So you're just learning new spacing, right?
well, but you're learning the lines.
Yeah, I was going to say
Oh,
the
yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
Probably like,
And that's the
And that's
the
where I
hard
give
bit.
but that's why I said danceability.
Oh,
Did I not say dance at the beginning?
You did.
Because
but musical theatre, the selling point is that you can normally do all three.
yeah, I can act.
Would a commercial dancer, do you reckon, choose more to be a musical theatre if they had the option that they could sing and act?
No,
But-
I think they'd try and be actual artist.
You reckon?
do you... Okay, that's a whole other conversation.
Go on.
I won't know.
No.
I was going to say, like, what sort of characters, as in, like, personality traits, do you reckon are more attracted to commercial versus MT dancers? Because you said about being the artist, which made me think egotistical fun straight away. So, like, do you reckon there's more a certain character trait which would go for commercial versus MT?
I don't know.
That's interesting, actually. Like, I don't think it's true, but I'm just wondering, would somebody that prefers working by themselves rather be a commercial dancer and instead of working in a team? Because in musical theatre, you're working together for a year.
My draw to being a commercial dancer and what steered me away. Steered? Is that the right word? Steered? Stirred?
Don't look at me.
Musical theatre person would know how to say that word properly. How do I say it? Steered?
Steered.
Yeah, it would steer me away.
Steer.
What steered me away?
Yeah.
Wow, why is this so hard? What steered me away from musical theatre was like I could not bear to do the same show every single day for 10 months.
Right.
Like
So you
I
like
would
the
be,
diversity.
I'd be so bored. Like I'm like done it twice, and I need to do something new kind of guy. So that's why commercial made sense, because it was every week was a new challenge, as in like I get to learn something new, or I have to figure out something different, or you know what I mean, get exposed to a new choreographer, or new scenery, or new steps, or a new artist. Whereas musical theatre is not that at all. It's the complete opposite. That's why people end up in a show for 15 years or whatever, because they're like, oh, I know this. It's comfy. It's good money.
Yeah. I think for me...
So I think it depends.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you say what kind of trait, like if you're like me, like I don't like, what's the word? Settling.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone does, but that was in my brain. That would be like, oh, I'm just gonna do that for 10 months. Then what do I do?
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself much of a risk taker?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It is.
Yeah, definitely. Because I was football and rugby up until 16.
Right.
And I went, let's go and do some dance let's go and train at a full-time dance college. Let's go and do
Just hard switch.
I could
like-
sing and act.
Just
but
hard switch like that.
Like, I was like, I think I could do this easier than football. Because I felt in a way, and also I was enjoying it more. I was getting more into the singing and acting. I hated dance. Like, I went to Wilkes on a under 16s from when I was about 15 on a Saturday, and they did dance, and I hadn't learnt to love it yet, but I was like watching people like Georgia and Ricky and Bethan, and they were insane. I was like, wow, this looks fun, but I'll keep coming. But I was enjoying more the singing and acting. And then when I started college, it still took me 2 months to really get into dance and start loving it. But then once I hit that, I was like, right, I'm in loving this. And I think I took a risk in a way, pushing myself for being more a commercial dancer by the end of college. Actually, my first job was going off and doing a singer, and Wilkes. Back then, our singing training wasn't as intense as what I think it is now. It was a very dance focused. So my first job was a risk because I was crap at harmonies. I was terrible at harmonies. And like you commercial dancers learn a show in a day, we were learning a show in a day, but this was harmonies. And I was terrible at it. And I had the pressure that I was going to get fired if I didn't learn them. And I learned that skill of learning harmonies through being under pressure.
Right.
And so that whole first job for me was a risk. And then coming back and doing a tour like Hairspray, I wouldn't say that was a risk because that was my comfort. I enjoyed that, but I've definitely taken other risks. Like, it depends how risky are we talking here.
Well, so where I was going with this
Yeah.
question was we were talking about how you liked diversity and like change every week, and then you talked about comfortability of being in a show constantly. And I mean, in my head, you're an MT kid, so I'm
Yeah.
thinking, are you a comfortable person or a I want to change every week sort of
Right.
person?
Well,
I was just kind of bouncing off
Yeah.
Yeah.
your personality traits.
I think
because
knowing
it's opposite.
Ross, the difference is like between him and just most people is like, okay, he's just been a lead in like one of the biggest shows in the country. Yeah, he still trains. Whereas a lot of people, once they kind of get to that point where they're like, oh, I have a bit of a CV behind me now, I can audition for roles and I know like I'll do a good job at doing like at getting the roles and I have a CV to back it, which always helps. Like whereas Ross still like has singing lessons, he still goes and trains dance, he's still constantly trying to progress. Whereas I might be wrong, hands up if I am, I'll always be the first one to admit I'm wrong, but I believe most people that when they get to that point, they don't keep investing in their training. They go, I'm this now, and their job becomes their training.
And for me, I think actually probably the biggest risk for me is my now where I'm at, because I was offered 2 auditions where it was quite likely I would have gotten the job because of my connections within the creatives, and then multiple other shows that I could have gone in maybe for an ensemble audition or a cover, but I'm taking the risk at the moment for probably the next year where I want to wait it out and see if I can land something like a really great role in a film, a national theatre, or a lead in town.
Something bigger.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a risk at the moment. I'm focusing on training and I'm waiting for my agent to get me the right audition to take me to where I next want to go. But I'm willing to sacrifice the next year to just train and try and level up.
Giving yourself an off season.
Yeah,
to progress. Like,
yeah.
Because as performers, I always say that like we never get an off season.
Yeah.
You never give yourself like time to go, oh, I'm gonna not like do my craft and perform, and I'm just gonna invest in getting better.
Yeah.
Like we somehow have to juggle performing and getting better at the same time. Whereas not many things you do that. Like football, you have an off season.
Yeah, exactly.
Like sports, you have an off season. Like where it's like physical. Whereas in what we do when it's physical is like you have to somehow be able to train to get better, train to prevent injury, and then perform. All in the same week, which sucks.
Yeah. yeah.
So going back, MT danceability versus commercial danceability.
I think as a commercial dancer, you have the ability to adapt more.
From what I can see, again, very outside perspective, commercial dancers have the ability to apply a lot more, like what you're saying, like flavour, texture, and are more moldable and adaptable.
Yeah, and obviously, like, this is just a general consensus because, like, Jonathan Bishop would now be classed as MT, and he would roast everyone at everything. But his background, although he went to Tiffany's and was MT, his actual, like, legit dance training was Dance to Excess.
Yeah.
And from commercial background, that's what made his technical ability is fantastic from his MT side, but his actual dance like ability to execute movement and stuff like that is from his, I believe, from his commercial training. Do you know what I mean? And he's carried it across. And Nina made a great point the other day, which she hasn't made today. But
I was about to bring Nina into the fray, so you go.
You go.
No, you go.
What do you think? Because I guess you're kind of in between both, right?
Yeah.
So you've just been to college with like people who want to do both, and you're someone which maybe wanted to do one or the other.
I think
And
like
they're good at both.
Yeah.
like with my background, I felt doing commercial first helped me with my musical theatre, with my performance and my execution, because I felt like, I don't know, with that training, I felt I gave more, and I wasn't very like, I do this and then I do this.
ISTD jazz, whatever it is.
And like, I just had that flavour from the commercial that I could adapt and put that to be different and stand out in that way.
That's like from my experience, like, and again, like I've never done a musical, but I have lots of friends in musicals, but I've taught so many dancers, like so many dancers from all different backgrounds and genres, and people who are proficient at commercial or hip hop or street dance, whatever we want to label it, tend to be able to get better at the MT/technical aspect of dance than the other way around, because they have more of an ability to adapt. Because people with a technical background, if you've done like lots of ballet and lots of jazz and you do your exams, which is normally your upbringing, right? If you're doing like technical dancing like jazz, normally your exam based is training. You just do repertoire, you just do reps. You practice that one set or those routines or that thing for 6 months or a year so you can pass this grade. Whereas when you're in a street dance company or something, you're learning new choreo every week. So you're constantly learning the ability to adapt. So therefore your brain is used to adapting, whereas someone's brain who's used to practicing that tondu or that little pas de bourrée section in the jazz number, if you've only done that for a year and then you get thrown something new, you're like, oh, new things to think about. Whereas the other way around,
Also,
it happens.
it's a different environment as well. Like if you're as a commercial dancer, like for example, like, well, training with Angels, it wasn't very like, right guys, everybody be quiet, like let's just get on. Obviously we pay attention and we do the routine, but like we're all quite like pally and like up for a good time. Whereas, I mean, obviously I didn't train in ballet as like a younger kid, but I would feel it was very like, everybody listen,
Yeah.
do this
Structure.
and then do this.
Way more
So
structure.
like you're more relaxed in that sense, and you're
Yeah.
more free to just like let go, and you're less worried of being perfect as such.
Yeah. Obviously, the singing and acting over wins because it's
Oh,
more
yeah.
skills. So you, like, do you know what I mean? But that's why I said that on a dance side,
Mm-hmm.
because singing and acting brings a whole new element to the game.
I think as well, it depends. Just going when I trained at college in commercial dance, a lot of it was clean lines. We were being taught clean lines. So when I left and I came back off my first ship, I'd noticed that the industry had changed so much to where it was so much about your own groove now, and you have to have your own flavour and bring that to the job. So I'm just wondering if the ballet trained or the jazz trained students, if we're going back to an industry about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when it was a lot more clean lines and choreography behind artists, would have they been a lot better then?
I don't know,
Kane, over to you.
if I think of all the working dancers from that generation, like I don't think of, like, do you think of Mark Webb as technical?
Well, from what I know,
he is technical experience. Yeah, but like, to me, if you're a good, like, working commercial dancer, like, you have a bit of an understanding of everything. Do you know what I mean? Or at least the ability to learn how to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's adaptability.
Yeah.
Like, I've never done like salsa before, but I've done it on stage. Like, it's like
Give it a go.
Yeah, it's like your ability to adapt and mimic what you see.
No, I do agree that I think commercial dance is such a great training base. I don't think I'd be where I am without it. And I think it does make somebody stand out in an audition if they can have the ability to have the groove and the flavour and that. And everybody always says to me, you know, when a Wilkes dancer's in an audition, and you also know when a Laney's in, and you also know when an Erdang student's in, because Wilkes are going to hit it. And normally, and go full out, like Laney will be super technical. Erdang's probably a mixture of both of them.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting one with the different. Because I know so many MT performers that can do what you're saying, adapt,
Yeah.
and that's why I think I'm finding hard to.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same with commercial. I know a lot of commercial dancers that can only just stay in their style. But
Yeah.
but
100%.
there's also MT performers that just stay in their style.
Because like, if you give like an MT dance break, like, to any working commercial dancer, they'll be able to do it. Because go and watch like Gary Barlow's last tour that Lisa Spence choreographed. Yeah, it's commercial, but it's very like MT-esque in areas. Like, there's that carry across that we have to do. Like, I remember wearing a gold shirt doing gypsy turns for Mary Byrne or Brian, whatever her name is, on X Factor, in clogs as a size 10. Like, and I'm a 7. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, well, this is never what I imagined, but this is more MT. Like, go and look at Kylie Minogue. Like, it's very Fosse driven, which is a form of jazz, which people use in MT. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think the carry across is big. I just think as a commercial dancer, you're learning new vocabulary more often, which is why I believe it would make you more superior, because you're constantly learning. Whereas in MT, like, once you're on tour, like, if you think of your whole cast, you're on tour, how many times did you learn something new? Not often, right?
No, I agree.
But on a dance base, because obviously singing and acting brings a whole new world into it, and then you roast us. Like, but that's
I
only if
agree.
you're good at singing and acting, because some people in MT world don't sing and act either.
No.
They just dance. They're ensemble and they're not mic'd.
So is it, I just, a working commercial dancer, how many people does that make up, do you reckon, in the commercial industry?
That work.
Yeah, like a working commercial dancer.
I think it depends what your class is working.
Because that's what I'm
always
thinking
say,
with
like,
MT.
working doesn't, like, just because you booked a job doesn't mean you're working. Like, it means you've worked.
Because I'd say the working MT dancers could probably still, I reckon they could roast a commercial routine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You
If we're talking about the working musical theatre dancers, so the people that are constantly working.
booked.
So you're thinking of Leah Hill.
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
of Jonathan
Yeah,
Bishop,
but
you're
again,
thinking-
Leah Hill. So, but
I know, a commercial
but she was
background.
commercial dancer.
But this is the thing, a load of
Because-
MT...
It just
because we're better. So we've also dominated your industry and ours.
No, but we all train at the same places,
Hey,
don't we now?
In the Heights, the film, how many MT dancers are in there? None. Oh,
I'm trying to think. I don't know off the top of my head, to be fair.
exactly. I do.
But
Especially as a current, I think if we look at history, like MT is more superior, right? Because it's been around.
But then
The art form's been around longer. But if we're going forwards and where we're at now and moving forwards, like commercial or hip hop is taking over the game.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
It's
It's the future,
more
it's the
fashionable.
forefront
Yeah.
because we're trying to
Yeah.
make MT because it's dated and like
with jukebox musicals and everything now, they all want.
they all want
Yeah.
things to be
Choreography.
because they've not changed in like the choreo with MT stuff, like say Wicked when it was choreographed, it's probably never fucking changed since day one, so it's
No.
not up to date. Whereas like with commercial or hip hop, whatever, we're constantly like revamping and trying to improve and trying to make it better.
Yeah.
Whereas with a musical, it's like they go back to a track that they did 20 years and go, oh, Sarah from Sheffield did it like this, and we should do it how she did it because that was how it was originally done. They're not as open to like improve it, whereas and it's dated, so the younger generation are less inclined to be intrigued in going to listen to like Mamma Mia or something because there's no relatability, right? Whereas they can relate to commercial dance because normally it's to a current music that they like. So what I believe in MT world they're trying to do is revamp it and make it more modern and more accessible for a younger audience. Therefore, they're making the movement more urban. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word urban when I say that, but more like up to date, more current. So if they put like a popping section in it, that's more relatable to them because the kid might go, diversity. Whereas when they watch their Fosse Padabore section, like what's their reference? So going forwards, if you're trying to get into MT, I think you need to be more profound in commercial, I hate saying that, but hip hop styles because that's where it's going. Obviously you want to have both, but if you're going to choose one or the other, like all the new stuff that's being made, what is it? Like think of Six, Carrie-Anne Grelier,
like and Julian.
Right.
and Juliet.
Nina,
Like-
you've just come out of obviously college.
Yeah.
If you were to have trained in one and only
Oh.
one, which one would you have trained in?
Well, Nina would do commercial.
But you're also a big lover of MT,
I do
right?
love MT. It's like
But what's the likeliness of you being able to do both skills from one style of dance?
well, commercials coming more into the musical theatre world. I feel.
Yeah.
We dominate.
But
We dominating, baby.
with commercial, what are we classing commercial as?
And
Well,
Just
is the
commercial
thi-
jazz
no
coming
te-
to
no
it.
te-
this
anything-
this is a whole new thing because
Yeah.
commercial isn't a style.
Yeah,
right?
it's selling, isn't
Commercial
it?
just means to sell, but we base it off what we know as like street jazz slash
So anything
street
out
dance.
of tech training,
Yeah,
anything out of that, would
because
that be a
even
fair
my
statement?
class has technical aspects to it. Like whenever we do a turn, like you spot and bring a foot to a retire or a coup de pied. Like there's always technical implements.
I still say the majority of shows in town at the moment, though, are jazz or MT choreograph based, though, instead of hip hop. But it is going that
But
way.
also
'cause
the
you've got-
all the new ones.
But like they have revamped shows like Mary Poppins. It was choreographed by Matthew Bourne and Stephen Mear. They've done the recent version.
Yeah.
Wicked, Germany. They just brought in a new.
Oh, have they revamped?
Have you seen the costume? Well,
No.
they did it last year. I don't know how it did actually. I haven't looked, but I remember seeing the original, press release of it, and they'd different modern costumes. It was quite Superman-y, I thought, but like shiny, and it was really cool actually. But they've
Like Power
revamped that,
Rangers.
and it's more commercial. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't We Will Rock You always change it every year? Because they made it the Lady Gaga girls, like Radio Gaga was like
Oh,
based
yeah.
on Lady Gaga.
Oh,
and
really?
I think they changed that a lot.
Oh,
and
sick.
Simon Cowell, depending on what he's doing, they introduce him, and so, I don't know.
Oh, I've not seen it.
So I think musicals do revamp, but I think still the majority of shows that you have to have. I think it's coming back more as well, like because the Strictly tours are on at the moment, and they're all obsessed with Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly. All these styles are coming back, but they do have a lot of commercial in these shows at the moment. They are very commercialized.
Yeah, because that's what the audience relate to.
But I wonder if it's also because students and performers at the moment have lost the qualities that Gene Kelly used to dance with, and Stephen, where you could hold yourself and strictly, but still have that ballet base is there. I don't know whether there's enough performers out there that can do that well.
But it's because it's not being taught.
Yeah.
There's no demand for it.
Yeah.
because people will always get taught what there's a demand for.
That's kind of like the chicken versus the egg, though, right? You're saying that work is not being driven that way because people are not as well trained, and then you're saying that people aren't being trained because there's no work in that. No work, but less work. So like,
They both.
What came first? Was it just a
Well, it's obviously phased out because it was once there.
I think they would want it back though. I don't know. Just looking at some of the shows that have come out recently, it's all classic shows like Carousel.
Yeah.
Anything Goes. And I think it is. I do think, because I find it, you know what, I have to really think to myself if I'm going back into a 1940s show to hold myself in that way. I have to really focus in on that. It is really hard. And I think it is hard to come by performers that can do that.
Yeah.
And sing and act.
Bro,
like Gene Kelly can.
Yeah.
100% singer. I'm just PS. I'm not against MT. I think they're most talented. I think they're most talented people ever.
We're gonna
I'm
see
just trying to
Kate-
make. I'm just
Kate's
trying to
gonna
make.
be in a musical next year.
I'm just trying to make an interesting episode, like, and for people to pitch their ideas in.
No, I agree with you. I think commercial dances are great. I think it's because you just the discipline you learn. I remember backing up though. You remember I said about those people that were saying this stuff about commercial dancers, and I don't think they realised that I was a commercial dancer. That's what I worked as and trained as. I was like, you guys have no idea what these dancers go through and the drive they have to get to where they want to be. And I think that's the other thing in theatre, that it's a lot longer process to learn something. And because they follow the equity rules, we're like, if we don't have our equity tea break at this time, well,
that's a win.
Okay.
If you get more time, that makes us more superior, but it makes your job more fun. Like, not more fun, but better.
I always think that when I'm doing an MT job, sometimes I'm like, God, we're doing a whole number and it's a day. I remember we've just done a whole number in a day. Like when I was doing, I'm trying to think of it. I did Electric Dreams years ago, and Rachel Kay was teaching us. We'd learn 3 numbers a day, and it would be full out choreo.
Okay, here's a question. Do you think it's harder? What do you think is harder to become a successful commercial dancer or a successful MT dancer?
Dancer?
Career.
Because like
Successful
to be
career.
a successful lead is fucking very hard, but to be an ensemble,
Yeah, we talk.
that's what we should be comparing. Really, is ensemble versus working dancer, because that requires the same skill set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
With the ability, it's again that ability to cover. Just because I know most of the shows at the moment, because producers are working with a tighter budget, they want most of the ensemble to be able to cover.
Yeah.
And so that is an added skill at the moment that you need. You can be the best dancer and the hip hop dancer in the room from Juliet, but if you can't sing Romeo, which is It's My Life and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Kieran Lai couldn't sing it.
Yeah, he was, but he was the locking track, wasn't he? I think
the one that nobody can do.
Um,
Like, generally nobody can do. That's
Yeah.
what he said.
he's left now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gutted.
So-
that's the cast I really wanted to see. I'm going to go watch the new cast, but I didn't get to see that cast.
He's got Kealis Seattle from Greatest Showman and stuff like that. Bearded lady.
Oh.
This is me. She's in there at the
Bearded
moment.
lady.
Bearded lady.
Oh, yeah.
My auntie.
But right, we can go with though that the ensemble musical.
Like, I feel like
theatre,
that's a more
commercial
easier
dancer.
match, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
because that removes the superpower
a bit of the singing
singing.
and acting. A bit.
A bit.
Oh,
Go on, Nina.
no.
What was your question?
My opinion. I knew he was going to say that.
Was it harder to be successful in as I said it originally as a commercial
like-
dancer or an MT dancer?
I also think-
MT performer. Is that a better question?
It depends on what level of a dancer we're going at or performer we're going at, right?
Someone who
Because-
can make a full-time wage.
But again, hear me out.
Come on.
Sorry, peeps. Full-time dancer on a cruise ship? Not that hard. Just saying. Full-time dancer in a West End show or full-time dancer on tour with Little Mix? Pretty hard.
Okay.
So like,
The thing
because you can be a commercial dancer on a cruise ship, but like as a boy, like girls is hard because there's 7,000 of you. But like as a boy, like I've seen like no hate, a little bit of hate. I've seen some boys on like cruises where you're like, you would never, like
You'd never be back.
you would never be a backing dancer for an artist.
Right.
But you've got a full-time job on a cruise ship. Good for fucking you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You found your niche.
So
You
what's-
would also never be an ensemble in the West End.
So what's the scalable measurement? A certain wage cap? Are you making 30 plus K a year? Are you making
No,
18K.
cruise ships will win.
Right.
And they have the lowest ability, but they make the most money.
I think that's the thing. If you want to be a
Fuck,
cruise
that's
ship
'cause of
dancer,
tax
though,
avoidance, though, right?
Yeah.
We're talking like literally like the money
it's
that
the
goes
accommodation,
into-
stuff like that. You're not paying for food, accommodation on the ship.
Yeah.
But how much are you getting
But-
paid? Not how much profit, how much you're getting paid. Is that a way of scaling it?
I don't know. For me, the scalability is the quality of work you're doing. Because like I've
Okay, yeah.
like the
Like what you want to be doing as well.
yeah.
It's got to be a mixture, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if there's.
I'm trying to-
I don't
I'm trying to
know
make
if
this
there's.
easy.
I don't know if there's like a straight way of like quantifying what is
Yeah.
this, but like we all know. Like when
Yeah.
you see the person dancing or you see the artist, you know. You know what I'm saying?
Then
You know. Like you can look and you can be like they're a 5 out of 10, and I can look and be like they're a 10 out of 10.
Okay, so you're doing a 7 out of 10 job.
Okay, so
Fuck's
for
sake,
me a 7 out.
Work with me here.
A 7 out of 10 is like that's a majority of people who make money from performing. I think they fall between like a 6 and an 8.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bracket they fall in.
But I'm talking about not quality of dance, but work, like jobs.
Yeah, both.
So if like Little
Well, the
Mix
quality
backing
of
dancers a 10 out of 10, let's
Yeah.
say, and then I can't think, but like a 7 out of 10 commercial job versus a 7 out of 10 like I don't know why I point at you for
Probably
empty
like
job.
some
You're my
random
empty
flat-
person.
Empty.
But I think like if you're comparing of which one is, if you're saying harder to get into, it depends on the person. Because I think if you've got the right drive, you could do either or at the right level.
Not the answer he wanted at all. But,
Sorry.
I'm trying
we
so
both,
hard.
but we both.
If I put all my effort into ensemble and I went, I'm going to do my singing, I'm going to do my acting, I'm going to do my dance, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do ensemble. But then if I went, no, I'm going to focus on commercial and do
Okay,
that.
perfect. What would be harder though? If you were to put all of your effort into one basket, which one would be harder for you to become successful for a 7 out of 10 job category? I can't
Answer my question!
Do you see where I'm trying to go with
Commercial.
this?
For me, I'm thinking if I
Commercial.
put, if
I
I
think
put
so.
all my work into being a commercial dancer, I think I could work. Like if I put all my effort, but because I mix with what I want to do and where I want to be, and I don't want to get injured, so a lot of the thing that I think of. Because if I got my trick in right back up to where I used to be, I reckon I could work as a commercial dancer. And if I trained for the next year and just drilled it back up, I think I could. But do you know what? I think being commercial dancer, I think it's harder. I think you've got to have a lot more self drive, a lot more. You've got to also arrange your schedule, which is hard in itself because you're having about 4 agents you're working with, and then your own work. You've got to make sure that you haven't double booked anything, and
Triple booked.
Yeah, is that what you've done? Have you done that and then gone, I'm so sorry?
I still do it now for tea. I do it all the time.
Yeah, and I think that you've got to have so much more self. You've got to think for yourself a lot more.
Right.
Because when you're in a musical theatre contract, you're there for 10 months or a year.
And you've got a company manager telling you what to do every day.
Yeah, and but then when you're out of work, I do think you're back in the commercial dancer ring where it's really hard. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're agreeing that to be successful, it was hard to become a success.
I think there's
You know what
less
I'm
as well.
saying.
I think there's less constantly earning commercial dancers than musical theatre.
Yeah,
Okay.
performers.
because once you land, like as we said earlier, once you land in a contract, you're there for a long period
Yeah.
of time. Whereas when you
Mm.
land in a commercial job, you could be there for a day.
And I think a lot of commercial dancers have to have a side hustle as well. From what I see, they have to teach, or they do spin classes, or
Or they
cycling.
wear a thong at stripper clubs.
Yeah.
Don't degrade those hard earning dancers.
I always think that. Are there a lot of commercial dancers that literally just do commercial dance? Like I can, in my head, I think of about 20 that I think
There-
probably just do commercial dance and
yeah,
live.
there are. Like if you took teaching out of it as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, there are. But so if we put them against ensemble, they're a way higher earner. So if you're
Right.
talking about like Jay Ravel back in the day before he was a choreographer and he was just a dancer, motherfucker worked every week. Every week. Like every single job he was on it. Like Anthony Kay back in the day.
oh yeah.
Psh,
So what?
ain't no ensemble job like that. They did everything.
Slight off-topic question then. What made them like the highest working dancer?
The hardest working,
They're the high. Like what got them all the jobs?
they're both beautiful.
Beautiful.
As in, like, physically beautiful.
Well fit.
Why?
That's it.
They're both extremely talented,
But
but
they're
like,
really good-looking people.
like,
Evie looks like a god.
like Anthony looks like a
He
fucking
literally looks like a god.
Like a god. He's literally like a god. Like
I'm-
I always think he should be an Avenger.
Right.
Like if you Google BBK or Anthony K, whatever,
Yeah.
you look at him, you'll be like, how are you not an Avenger?
He snotted halfway across the room in our class when he whipped his head because he was so full out, and he looked at it, and we all still thought he was beautiful. Even his snot was beautiful.
Real tag him.
Sorry, Phoebe, I hope you don't think I'm a creep, but we were like, wow.
And Jay was just like good at his job,
Right.
good looking, great with his top off. Tick the box.
Fair.
Like girl dancers like Katie Collins, Lisa Spence, Jenny Griffin, like all these motherfuckers. They
had great danceability as well. I'm sure that helped a bit.
no, that's what I'm saying. No, but what I'm saying is like they're the most working. Like when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think of the most working that
Yeah.
wouldn't need to do something else, like they work.
Yeah.
And like, but I also think you could put all them in a musical and they'd learn it in about a day.
Right. So it's just like God's gift combination. They're amazing dancers, but
they're
also
just
stunning.
they're just phenomenal talents.
Right. The rare breeds.
Yeah.
Um,
So commercial wins, yeah.
No, we're missing out acting and singing here again.
this is gonna be a debate that never ends. Though,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, it's a never-ending
Yeah.
one. I just thought it'd be a fun
It's-
topic.
it's no,
Yeah.
I think it is a good topip because you hear it all the time now. Like,
Well, one thing I will say, where
Hold on.
MT wins.
Before you carry on talking.
No, MT wins longevity.
That's
Okay, yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
MT
Yeah.
wins in longevity. Because, bitch, you can still be 85 and be on stage in musical theatre, but you ain't going to be no 85-year-old twerking behind Kylie.
Maybe me. I might still look like a baby.
True.
Only height-wise.
yeah.
Yeah, longevity, I would say
Longevity of
MT.
career. That's interesting.
But again, not as just a dancer. It would have to be the full MT package. But longevity.
Yeah, like there's a guy in my in Hairspray with me called Paul, and he started off trained at Lanes, and then
In
worked as
1921.
yeah, we're not that old. I think I'm not going to say how old he is, but
45.
but he's
52.
and he started off as a really amazing like dancer, and he did loads of like ensemble jobs, and then he went into directing, choreographing, and then he came back and now does like roles in musical theatre. So he's playing the male authoritative role in Hairspray, and he was like the dad in Joseph, but he's great because we'd start You Can't Stop the Beat rehearsals, and he'd be there going so clean, and he'd go, I'm a Laney, darling. But he's just like middle-aged guy, and he's roasted us like with how clean he is, how full out he is.
Yo, do you know
so
what?
he's
I
had
would-
longevity there.
What I would love to do is get like, I choose my top like 3 commercial dancers, and maybe you could choose top 3 like MT dancers and make them
dance
learn
off.
each other's
Styles.
Let's do
make
that.
them learn each other's
That's a
tracks.
really good YouTube
Let's
video.
arrange it.
Like learn each other's tracks, and then we'll have like judges mark them who gets
And we
the
could
highest.
be
Oh my god, I've made a TV show.
We can be team, we could be team captains. There we go. We take
Yeah,
it.
I'm
All
down.
right, let's do it. Let me talk to ITV.
No, self-funded.
Yeah.
Self-funded.
Get some
The
media.
Ins and Outs YouTube channel. We've got 130 subscribers.
Yeah, but I think we're nearly 140 now.
Let's go.
Maybe even 150.
Once we get to 200, Jake's gonna release a dick pic.
Maybe topless. Maybe topless. Right, how many subscribers are you on now?
Oh, don't even.
152. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, but we've got like 400 and something thousand downloads on Apple.
Yeah, no, we're successful in other
So
places.
alright. It's actually weird because it was me slapping my shoes.
Oh.
We base like subscribers on YouTube as like how well we're
How
doing,
well we're
but you
doing.
know,
Yeah,
actually
that's
no
what I
one
was
watches.
thinking.
No one watches podcasts. We put all this effort into visual stuff, and everyone's listening, probably thinking I can't see fuck all in this car.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or you,
Most
like
of our
you.
listeners are Spotify.
But I think
iTunes.
people forget to subscribe, don't they? Or they just type
Oh, we
you
still
in.
see their views.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I bet the views are good though.
No,
just
No.
like 100.
but with listeners, like
Yeah.
downloads.
Right.
Yeah. It's because people can do things when they listen.
Yeah, you watch podcasts because you're weird.
Yeah, if I'm like eating.
He's saying that while I was filming.
But the difference is he'll watch a podcast whilst doing something else.
Yeah, I'll be like eating
So-
dinner or something.
So he's
like-
not watching it, right? He's
Right.
listening to it. But it's just
I'm
a
watching and
hamster.
listening.
Yeah,
And
but
eating.
also you're doing like your fucking whatever your 7 other thousand jobs are on your laptop because basically
Open heart
in
surgery.
his room he's got like 7 screens.
3.
It looks like fucking.
Slight exaggeration.
it looks like Tony Stark's fucking basement. Like, and he's like So he'll have probably, I bet he's watching a podcast on that, and he's working. He's got Forex up or some shit on this one, some cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And then he's looking at like how to stencil on clothes on this one. Like, so he's not really watching that. The difference is I'm driving and I can't watch because I'll die. So I listen
Until we get a Tesla.
until we get a Tesla,
we get a Tesla.
or a
There you go.
chauffeur when she learns to drive.
100%.
See how I went. Oh, good times, guys.
I think that concludes our episode.
That was good.
It does. Ross,
Yo.
if and you,
Huh?
and you, if aliens come from outer space,
What?
yeah.
Okay.
Shut up. If aliens come from outer space and said to each one of you individually, took you in a room, tied you up, looked a bit like this, tied you up, sat you on a couch, and said, if you don't give me the best dancer on earth, and they don't pass our test, I will kill you all. Who would you give?
Wow.
Oh, that's a really big question.
The best dancer on earth.
Earth. Has to be alive though, no dead folk, because they've already taken them. Jake, you're involved.
I'm just trying to think.
You can say me. It's all right.
Yeah.
Best dancer.
Yeah, that's...
You don't have to know them. Like personally, obviously you have to know who they are to say who they are, but...
Who would you say?
No, I don't. I'll do it after you guys.
Okay.
But I feel like you're going to give these guys a
Honestly.
little bit of inspo.
Yeah, but that's why I'm not doing it.
Right.
I was trying to remember their names, some of them.
It's one of those... Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Can't be that good if you don't remember their name.
I know, but that's the. I can imagine them dancing, and then I'm like, no, maybe not. Actually.
I'm going to put out Jonathan Bishop. Because he can do everything.
Solid. I think he'd let us. He'd keep us alive.
Nice.
Solid show.
Yes, Johnny.
I don't feel like I know enough about other styles other than commercial.
That's all right. Just do what you know, bro. It's for you. It's not for everyone else's opinion. It's for you. Pressure's on you. It's if you give a shit
You
one.
die, that's your problem.
If everyone else dies.
We all die. if
We
it's
all
the wrong
die. The
one.
whole
Oh.
world.
The whole world dies.
Oh.
But you can't like give one that you don't. You have to be true to you and believe you. It's your opinion. It's not for everyone else's opinion. Fuck's sake, Ross. Come on.
Sean Lou.
I was thinking Sean. You know, I was actually Sean.
Just because he does like hit everything.
Yeah.
Really, really
and he
well.
tells story, and he's got all the textures and everything.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I would say him, but
Yeah, you can. You can both give Sean Lou if you want.
do you know what? I want to go totally different here.
Go on.
I'm gonna go, and you're probably not gonna like me for it, but I'm gonna go for it. Derek Hoff.
Against...
I'm gonna go totally different. Just gonna go there. I think for the performance.
You'll
aspect-
save us. You'll save us.
You fucked
You
us.
fucked us.
Well, because I didn't want to say, because I thought Sean Lou was standard. I was
No,
like,
Derek
I was,
Derek is phenomenal at what he does.
I was just, yeah, that's what I was thinking. The performance aspect. I thought I'd go
I
complete
said dancer,
opposite.
not performer. But he is he's fantastic at what he does. We're all dead. Thanks, guys. Paid up.
Kane,
See you in industry.
your answer?
My answer. See, my normal answer I can't give anymore for reasons that we can't publicly. I don't want to publicly talk about. So mine would now be Nick Bass.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought you were going to say Misha.
Nick Bass.
Mm.
Nick Bass would be mine.
He is very good.
You can do everything.
Mm.
Could do MT. Could do ballet.
What's he doing at the moment?
Teaches dance in a little dance school in DC. Retired.
Nice.
He was on tour with Justin Timberlake and halfway through just went, I don't want to do this anymore. Left. Just
Really?
like that. Yeah, that's how good he is. Find someone better. Fade out.
Wait, do you want to do the orders of fading us out? Go.
What do I do?
I don't know. Can you like give us like a nice song being like goodbye?
You put me under pressure. Goodbye.
Beautiful.
That was lovely.
There you go.